welcome back to my channel, the channel where we explore our full potential so that we can die empty, and we do that by feeding what we know we want to grow. So today I'm actually talking about what made me start my channel. So this is the book that made me start my channel. The name of the book is Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. I hope I'm pronouncing the surname correctly. But this book is actually quite cool. First of all, it's an easy read. It's I think a big enough print. It also has some cool quotes that are written in black, that are written in white with a black background. So it's actually a very, very simple read, and it's very nice. So personally, I struggle, and for the longest of time, with sharing my work or talking about myself in terms of what I'm doing with my personal projects or even in the workspace, unless I'm specifically asked. But after reading this book, I felt compelled to actually start the channel. And this came from a place of I want to grow, and I actually want to document my progress as I'm growing. But more importantly, I hope whatever I'm doing also encourages someone to step into their full being so that they can reach their full potential. So one of the points that Austin make is we all should be documentarians. So what he means by that is, as an individual, you must document your progress. I read a book a couple of years ago called Betting on a Ducky by Mr. Nyati. I think he was the CEO of one of the big listed companies, which the name just disappeared for the life of me right now. I'm not sure why. But he said, because he's always known that he wants to write a memoir or about his life, he saved some of the documents. So an example, I don't remember specifically the document he saved at the time, but an example is saving maybe my first payslip, because I know I'm going to make it big to say this is where I started. But so the point that Austin though is making is document your progress. So for me, as someone who's trying to grow, personally, documenting my progress in terms of where I've started and where I'm going becomes very important. And I think that's actually quite critical for everyone. Even if you don't want to start a YouTube channel, but just to give courage to the next generation or the people in your life, it's important to do that. I think even for your children, if you're a parent, to be like, oh, okay, let me actually document this to make sure that my children know how I actually progressed in my life. So I think that's cool. And choose your medium. If it's photography, you do it through photos. If it's recording your voice, you do it through that. If it's journaling, you do that. But pick your poison. Pick whatever medium that works for you. Just document. And for me, it was like, that is actually cool. I want to do that. So that was the first thing. Then the second lesson that actually came out of this book was embrace your amateur status. So remember, when you're starting, it's so easy to be hard on yourself that it even paralyzes you, where you're like, oh my God, like now I'm starting this. You're like, oh my God, it sounds like I'm repeating myself, or the video quality is not great, therefore I'm not going to post. It's like, no, everyone starts somewhere. And how do you get better? Like, writers will tell you, how do you get better at writing? You write. Actors and actresses will tell you, how do you get better at acting? You act. So to get better at anything, you actually need to start somewhere. And very few people, if not no one, start with just being perfect from the onset. So own that amateur status, because that amateur status is actually what's also going to show you where you've come from. Where you're like, oh my God, I started from 0 and look at me now, I'm 180 or whatever. So I think own that, because that is actually progress. It's where everyone starts. Like, I remember when I got my license and I just got my car, oh my God, it felt like I'm never gonna learn to fully drive by myself, because just driving was so exhausting. But right now I go to work and come back and don't even remember where I stopped or where the robots were. And that is life, I think. So let's just enjoy the process, as long as we commit to growth, where obviously you can't stay in that amateur stage, but as long as we commit to growth and improving as time goes. The third lesson that he spoke about is be a copycat, but give credit to the people that deserve credit. So the point that he was making, and I think I actually believe this, when you read Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9, it talks about there is nothing new under the sun. And even when you look in our lives, yes, there's technology that is improving things and making lives easier, but for the most part, a lot of things are recycled. You look at fashion where old things are now coming and you're like, wow, this thing was so old. I remember owning it at some point. Or we'll talk about how our aunts or our parents used to wear that. And now those things, we sort of wearing it. So that means then if you're chasing originality, sometimes that can be a hindrance to you doing certain things. So do things that if you're copying from someone, so do things that in the right way, but give proper credit to the people that deserve the credit. I think when I did my blog, I didn't do justice to that, where I'd say, no, I listened to this podcast and I got this idea, but not specifically putting the links of this is where I got the podcast from, so that the people can actually know more or get more from that. Because what the point that he's making is, you just mentioning the name doesn't mean the person is going to go and Google and actually search the name, but you properly putting the link to whoever you're trying to talk about is giving proper credit to the people that you're copying from, if it's ideas or the concepts that where you got whatever information that you're sharing from. So he spoke about that. I thought that was actually a cool concept. Then the fourth one is find your nickel bolas. Basically, you hear what he's saying. He's saying find your tribe. It's so easy when you are in a certain trajectory to feel like you are alone and be like, oh my God, I'm the only one who's different. No one understands me. But life is so nice now where we have social media, we have the internet, where you can find people like you, where if you know you like a certain type of thing and in the space that you're in, no one really likes that. Go online, you'll find that. I saw that also, or I continue to see that happen a lot on Twitter, where you see a lot of the guys on Fin Twitter essay, where most of them you can see they're not friends, but because they have a common interest, they're starting to become friends. Sometimes it's internet friends, but some of the internet friends or social media friends become real friends where they meet in real life. But I think the point that he was trying to make was find your tribe, find the people that you can learn from in something that you're interested in, or that you can actually engage in with, so that you can exchange ideas. So I thought that was actually quite a cool thing. And the last point, there are many more points. Please go check out the book. But the last point from here is he made an example about the writers, the Beatles. So you know the Beatles were big, I think, especially in America, where he says the writers used to say when they're writing, they'll be like, let's now write our swimming pool. So, and what they meant was, let's write a song that is actually going to give us so much money that we can build our own swimming pool, if the swimming pool is what you wanted at the time. And I think this brings a great concept of actually saying, when you do something, be clear about the objective. Of course, it can change over time, but be clear about the objective. So for me, recording this is like, I hope it gives someone the courage to actually start from whatever position they're in. And that for me is part of how you become clear. For them, it's let's write something that's going to give us so much money that we can actually build our own swimming pools. I thought that was so cool. And finally, there are many, many more lessons from this book. I obviously can't talk about all of them, otherwise you won't go buy the book. Go get the book if whatever I said resonated with you, because there's so many more lessons and it's an easy read, as I said in the beginning. Thank you so much for listening until so far. I hope you got something from this. Until next time, thank you. Bye.